Well, spring has sprung, and so has Air Canada, with new routes, more capacity. And here to tell us all about it is Lisa Pierce, Vice President of Global Sales and Air Canada Vacations, joining us today. We're here in Toronto at the Sheraton Hotel, where Air Canada has organized a get-together for the travel industry, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of updates. What is the word on the street, or should I say in the air, at Air Canada? How are things going at the airline?
Well, they're actually going very well. We're very excited about new routes, adding capacity. We're great and very happy to see increased in market demand overall. It's really good news for the industry as a whole, and we're excited about capturing as much of that as we can at Air Canada.
Let's talk about the spring-summer schedule. It's jam-packed. You got more Asia, more Europe, more capacity. Even Ottawa is getting a boost in service. You've got new routes in North America, Tulum, Mexico, Charleston, and then we can't forget Vancouver. You've got the new Singapore flights, more Hong Kong, more Japan, more everything. This is a fully loaded airplane pizza, right?
Exactly.
So What does this schedule say about the market's appetite for travel right now?
I think it's a reflection of the demand overall for the market. As I mentioned before, it's really very encouraging for our industry as a whole. We want to be relevant in as many market segments as we can. As a global network carrier, we want to make sure that we capture the needs of our leisure travelers, VFR travelers, business travelers. So we're positioning ourselves with our very diverse set of new routes to make sure we capture as much of those market segments as we can.
What kind of customers are influencing Air Canada's decisions right now?
All of them. I mean, we take that very seriously. As a global network carrier, we have to be relevant in every market segment. And we are uniquely positioned to do that here in Canada. It's not only something we're doing for the business, but also something that we think is important for the economy and the people of Canada as a whole.
I wanted to ask you about Air Canada's first quarter results. They were released earlier this month, an $81 million loss, but an increase in revenue and capacity. What insights can you share on what's going on there?
Well, the glass is half full, right? We did increase year over year our revenue by 7%, and we had an $11 million operating margin. So that's very impressive. And I'd like to take the opportunity to call out the support from our travel trade. If it wasn't for them, we would not have been able to achieve that. And it represents nearly half of all of the revenue we get. So partnerships and events like this to recognize that are very important. But glass is half full, and I work in sales. We had a great quarter, in Q1.
Let's talk about the year ahead, though. What would be a realistic outlook for 2024? Do you think Air Canada is able to replicate some of those fat post-COVID profits we saw in 2023?
Well, I think it's important that we understand the world is changing all the time. So as much as we're able to adapt to the changing demands and needs of our customers is as successful as we'll be. The one thing that we do know is that the market is growing overall, and it's up to us to make sure we capture as much opportunity as we can at Air Canada, obviously with the support of our trade partners. And we also have a very diverse set of trade partners that serve different parts of the business. You know, we have business, leisure, VFR, a lot of agencies that specialize in those areas. So we feel well positioned to capture that as long as we remain adaptable.
Let's talk headlines. In April, Air Canada made some headlines about introducing a new seat selection policy. This was, of course, a seat selection fee for travelers who booked travel on lower tier fares. It was announced one day, and then a couple days later, they pressed the pause button. There was a little bit of uproar from what I saw online. Do you have any updates on that?
Well, we actually have no updates to our policy that we're announcing today, but I can tell you that if and when there's a change to the policy, we'll be very thoughtful about making sure that it's operationally efficient for not only our customers, but for our employees and obviously for the travel trade. We do know that seating is very important for all of our customers, which is why we do make many fare brands available where we offer that as part of the fare brand. So we do recognize how important that is, and we want to make sure we give it the care and class it deserves to make sure we handle those types of decisions and the way we execute on them as efficient as possible.
That's good to know. Let's talk about on-time performance. Obviously, this is important to the customers. It's important to travel advisors. At the beginning of the year, Air Canada's ranking wasn't so good. Are things improving?
Well, we are really excited about the progress we're making. We're obviously a lot of focus in that area as a company. And in Q1 of this year, we actually increased our on-time performance by 13 percentage points, which is significant. And we're continuing to make investments in that area. We have entire teams of people that are solely focused on that. So it's a team effort, and we're happy with the progress we're making.
That's a good update. Let's talk NDC. This was a program that was introduced last year. Air Canada, I think, gave Canadian travel agencies a lot of time to ask questions, go through training, to implement it into their business. Where are we in that journey now? Are we past the hurdle yet, or what can you say about that?
Well, first, I'd like to say we have come a long way in the last year, and we've done it together, and we could not have done it if it weren't for the engagement of our travel partners. So thank you for all of that. We've made some big changes in that we have now settlement outside of Canada. We have over 10 countries outside of Canada with settlement, including the UK, the US, Australia, Brazil, and many more. And we are very excited because in Canada, this month, we've achieved 20% of our agency bookings are coming through some sort of NDC connection. So we're very pleased with that, and we could not have done it without our trade partners. And it is a journey, and I can't say it's perfect, but we're doing the best we can. We want to meet everybody where they are and take everybody along the journey.
I want to talk about Air Canada Vacations, of course. There's been so many cool destinations that have been introduced to the portfolio. We've got India, we've got Sydney, Australia. What does this say about the direction Air Canada Vacations is going?
Well, what we're trying to do is make a very deliberate and thoughtful effort to leverage the unique network that Air Canada has, and of course our world-class loyalty program, Aeroplan. So those are two unique value propositions that we have at Air Canada, and we're going to fully leverage those more than we have in the past. And obviously when we have new routes, no better opportunity to do that, so we'll continue to do that. Finally,
it is spring. It's a beautiful night. The birds are chirping, but we have to face the facts. Winter is coming, to quote Game of Thrones. What's your advice to travel advisors as they start to plant the seeds and sort of lay out that winter holiday booking plan? Even though it is far away, what would you say to travel advisors now?
Well, first of all, I have never watched one episode of Game of Thrones.
Reference went way over the head. Hopefully some of you out there got it.
I'm sure you have. And I know not to talk to anyone who's watching an episode and say, what is that? All kidding aside, I would simplify it or summarize it by saying be flexible, be and stay informed, and take time for yourself. It's very important to do that. I mean, it seems like we talk about winter coming, when summer coming, there's always something coming. So make sure that I think it's important that we all take time for ourselves.
Words of wisdom from Air Canada's Lisa Pierce. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.